Okay. Find a way to push past those mountains and get beyond into the flat plains like the Ohio River Valley and so on. Because the thing is this. Most of the animals that were easy to kill have been killed. They need it for the fur trade. But also, think about cultivated land. By 1740, in this map, I like how they have vague dots representing people. Sorry, I'm sitting together. But most of the cultivatable land had been taken and claimed. And tobacco cultivation and other cultivation was leaching out the soil. They were right up against the mountains. So here especially, they wanted to get over for more land. Plantation owners are obsessed with land. They got to get more land. That's that legacy of tobacco. Somebody broke my pen. It would have been me. The fur trade in land, and one more thing, speculation. And speculation is an important term. Think of the terms this way. You have like the second or third sons of plantation owners, or for that matter, sons of plantation owners who are going to inherit land that had been pretty much used up. They want more land, but the problem is they also need money. What is speculation? Now this is a business or an economic term. What does speculation mean? It's one of the most important terms. In fact, our entire economy today is based upon speculation. That's not necessarily a good thing. In my lifetime, it's changed speculation.
Taking a risk.
So how does it work for business? You're taking a risk, you're speculating.
Like you think the land over there is going to be really good, and it might not be. It'd be worse.
So what do you do? You're exactly right. So what do you do?
Send a few guys out there and see what it is like. Thank you.
You're on the right track, but what's the first thing you got to do? You got to get the land. How do you do it?
Or just get there.
Some kind of, you might just go take it, but you got to make some kind of investment and buy the land, hoping that is low price, right? Then what do you hope happens? It goes up. You figure out some way. Hopefully, people will say, I got to get that Ohio Valley. Buy low, sell high. That's speculation. And it has great allure, doesn't it? Because it's making money without work. You can get rich without work. And that is the basis of the economy. In fact, I guarantee you, all of you are thinking down the road, someday I would like to get a career that I love, that I don't really have to work that hard to get rich. Or maybe do a job I like. Now, there's a chance. But there's a reason they call it work, too. And we all want it. It's very alluring. I can just get rich. I can just sit back and it goes up in value. And today, that is how, one of the reasons why we have such an unequal society, and it's so volatile now. Because if everybody does that at the same time, they're trying to get the Ohio River Valley, what happens to the value of that land? It goes up. In fact, it will go artificially up. They call it a bubble. All of a sudden people will realize, uh-oh, it's not worth as much, and what happens to the price? Tanks. Now, after the Great Depression, remember those heady days of the Great Depression? Who remembers those? You do? So you remember the Glass-Steagall Act? Yeah, but you don't want to talk about it. I don't blame you. No, there are all these laws. They try to regulate the stock market, regulate banking industry, so they would not have these big speculative bubbles to try to control people. Because what happens? People go crazy when they think they're going to get rich. They do crazy things. Always. Always, always, always. Some of you will in your lifetime, maybe you already have. I'm sure some of you are thinking, I know better than that. You're the most susceptible if you think you know better. But they put a bunch of regulations and controls to keep it from happening. They started getting rid of those in the 1980s and 1990s because people get really rich if the price goes up. So this is in my lifetime. They got rid of them. This never happened when I was your age. It has now happened twice in your lifetime that there has been a massive bubble that burst. One, people lost trillions of dollars of money they thought they had because of speculation. And that's in 2000, 2001. Did you know about that? Well, it wasn't anything about it. But what kind of stock market? Something? Stocks and stuff? You're on the right track, but it's technology. The internet was big. And people thought, all right, you get It's like a technical name for it. They could sell stock and turn out to be the company was worthless. It crashed. 2008, another crash of speculation that nearly destroyed the entire world's economy. We have not recovered from it. 2008 was, it was like hair on fire panic. And it was awful. In your lifetime. What was that? Speculation. Yeah, housing. So that's why I brought that back. Real estate speculation has been there since the beginning. People think they'll get rich off it. Same exact thing, it keeps cycling about. And they always do the same thing every time. This time, the bubble won't collapse. Never again. Every time they say it, and every time what happens. Closer to home, there's another speculative bubble that's collapsed. In fact, collapse is not strong enough of a word. Very close to here. North Dakota. The oil boom has tanked. It's fallen off a cliff. Same kind of thing. So this happens time after time in history. People think they'll get rich. Yeah, some do, but most people lose their shirt or it hurts the entire economy. People believe there's a bubble right now forming in currency. The currency market, they speculate on the value of currency. That doesn't seem to be really happening, but it will happen again. Probably when you're in college. Jess, it's time when you're ready to get a job.
What's the stopping? Like, what's money? How does that bubble up?
People think it's worth more. They think the value of the currency will go up or go down, so they kind of bet on it. It's like a big casino. And they bet that the price will go up or go down. It's so complex, you would not believe the currency market. It's crazy. They gamble on everything. It's like a big, it really is. Stock market's like a big casino. Everyone's rolling the die trying to get rich. This is what happened here. And, yeah, I don't like it. We've kind of got rid of some of the controls, but we are riding the wave. And it wasn't like that when I was your age. It was a lot more secure. You guys, not near as secure. Not even close. And that's a real problem we have to deal with. You guys don't vote, so. That's actually being facetious, but telling you the truth. So, speculations. You have all these guys want to speculate. And they want to get there so they can get that land. And they're the first ones to stand on this land. If they can get there and be standing right here on the Ohio River, then they can say, this is mine, lay a claim to it, and then sell it. They can become rich, buy their own plantation. That was their goal. Not only, well, first up, let's be clear. I almost jumped the gun there. The American Indians who lived there, to the European point of view, their claim was very shaky. They didn't farm as much anymore. And so they're going to take it. The French had a claim. The British had a claim. Who else had a claim to this land? This is where it gets really complex. British and French, but also the colony of Virginia, the colony of Maryland, the colony of Pennsylvania, the colony of New Jersey, and the colony of New York. No, you do not need to know the names of the colonies, but the point is individual colonies also wanted this. You don't need to know all those names. The only one you need to know is Virginia. They wanted to get their claim to it before another colony gets it, or for that matter, the British get it. Because they're scared the British will go make a new colony. And they will lose that land, and they'll be stuck with the dying land between the Appalachian Mountains and the sea. So, the Virginians, this is not the government of Britain, this is Virginia, would send 1,000 militia and the remnants of some of the tribes of that east, like the Pequots. They sent some warriors too, some soldiers too, and they're going to march over the mountains to the headwaters of the Ohio River. Now what I'm talking about there, it's where three rivers come together and form the Ohio River. The Mahanga, the Allegheny, the Allegheny, that's not right. The Allegheny and the Mahanga. Three rivers come together to form the Ohio. They're going to get there, build a fort, our river. That's the plan. They get a claim to the valley. Virginia gets it. Which is kind of weird now because it's in western Pennsylvania. They knew it. But they had surveyed the land between Pennsylvania and Maryland. This land had been surveyed to the mountains. And that's it. So it's open. By the way, the two surveyors who did that, their last name was Mason and Dixon. So the border, the traditional border between north and south will be called the Mason-Dixon. Comes from the two surveyors, the two British surveyors. But back to this then. Virginia sent this militia, and they found a young, ambitious son of a plantation owner, second son, and the plantation was not very good. So he's desperate. This guy also wanted to be an officer in the British Army and do something else. Oh, I forgot. Become an English gentleman. Become an English gentleman. You'd be really rich, but become an English gentleman. Now, an English gentleman means copying the upper class of Great Britain, living like on a country estate, with a education that only a gentleman would get. Now, to a gentleman, they learned the classics. What are the classics? Anyone know the classics? You should know. What?
It's like
Ancient Greek Roman literature.
Yeah, all the Greek and Roman stuff. Gotta learn Greek. It is classical kind of, learn poetry, learn prose, very classical. So not like practical stuff for like farming. Also, speak the language of the aristocracy across Europe by the 18th century, and also become the language of diplomacy, French. Washington did not have that education. It was hardly available in the colonies. He had a very practical education. He could survey. Has anyone ever done anything like surveying, orienteering with a compass? Anybody? It's hard. I mean, it's hard. Let's go. I'm going to drop you off in the middle of the forest with nothing but a compass and a rock. Whoever gets back passes. You got to eat. Figure it out. That's how I do it.
Are you supposed to kill the animals with the rock, or are you supposed to eat the rock?
I'm not you. You decide.
The sharp rock.
Rocks do have a lot of minerals.
Use the rock to turn a stick into a
Oh,
stick.
You blow my mind.
Is the rock sharp at all?
Huh?
The rock-
No, it's just going to be like a river rock. Okay, so, no, the point is, Washington had some pretty good skills, but he did not have that education, but he carried himself like he did. Because that's what he wanted to be. This 22-year-old man who acted like an English gentleman. And also his teeth hurt all the time. And so he was very aloof. He didn't like to talk because it hurt his teeth. He would eventually have them all pulled and replaced with what? Yeah, ivory teeth. Yeah, he was rich. He would eventually become very rich. Well, George Washington would lead them, this militia. And I also want you to think about one more thing. It kind of makes me laugh when you think about it, but it's just amazing how different people were, expectations, but also, frankly, how much tougher they were back then. Yes?
So when the Virginians found Washington, he just became the leader?
No, he was appointed by the government of Virginia. He hijacked it. Yeah. So, what happened was, think about this for a second. They're down here at Williamsburg. They're here. And they say, hey, you guys, you're going to walk to here. Over the mountains, no road. By the way, cut a road as you go, wide enough for a couple of pack animals. Go for it. And they're like, okay. And they start walking. Now think about if you said that to somebody today. Heck, if your ride is late, you're like, oh, that's acting. Pretty good, huh? Right? Who would whine and complain if their ride was late? Yeah, all of you. All of you. Don't give me that. And they would take off walking. That's my generation. We were tough. And so, they cut this road. It's only about this wide. So, it's not like they're building an interstate highway. That would come the next decade. And, interstate highway. Wow. 130 years before the car. They were amazing. They walked over, and it took about 3 months. They went up across Maryland, which I think is hilarious. They're in Virginia, but we're going this way. And then they get here. What did they find when they finally climbed the mountains? They finally went to this little valley, and there's these beautiful, this wide river, 3 rivers running into it. What was right there? Indians. Good guess, but no. There were some Huron. The French had built a fort at the mouth of the Ohio River. The French had beat them. Fort Duquesne. And Fort Duquesne, okay, it's a wooden stockade. It's got dirt ramparts, which means essentially mounded up dirt in front of the gate. So it's a good fort. If they had cannon, that's a Q, and that's a 5. The French always made 5s. The French, I mean, that's why they had a revolution. No, that's an S. So, the French didn't have or the British didn't have cannon. They didn't have enough men to surround it. They didn't have supplies, and they knew they'd been watched. What does Washington do? He goes back, he might lose everything he wants. So he essentially kind of patrols around the fort, just kind of hoping something appears. And it did. Going north from Duquesne, about 2 days march from Duquesne, they found a French column marching north. Had a little bit less than 20 men, some pack animals, a few Huron, that's it. And they're obviously going up to Lake Erie. Then catch the lake and then go up that way to Quebec. Washington didn't know what to do, so he attacks them. Waits till near dark, ambushes this French party. So he starts a war. Now he attacks them. There's a sharp fight, a few men are killed, a couple men are wounded. It's already a huge mistake. He has no idea what he's doing. And now all of a sudden he has about 15 captives. He's declared war on the French, essentially. And he knows they're probably watching. The Huron are watching, will tell the French. So, think about this. It's night. Or nearing dark. So, forest, gloomy. You can imagine it, right? Can't see anything. And Washington is trying to interrogate their commander. I guess I do need this pen. It's kind of like a war club. His name was Jumonville. The reason I'm telling you this because I like saying Jumonville. Jumonville. Try it. It's fun. Jumonville. Try it!
Jumonville.
That had no enthusiasm at all. So Jumonville, he's French. Obviously. And think about in the dark. Jumonville's hands are tied behind his back and he's on his knees. Washington standing in front trying to interrogate him. How many men are in the fort? How many Frenchmen are there? When are you getting supplies? That kind of stuff. Now he's interrogating. What's Jumonville doing? Yelling back in French. Now what happens, and this is international, when one person is trying to communicate with somebody else who speaks a different language, what do they always do?
Yell louder.
Yell louder! Like that's going to help. Why don't you understand? So they're screaming back and forth at each other. It's a chaotic thing. It's dark. I mean, it's just everything's getting out of control from Washington. He's panicking. The head of the Pequots was what the British called him Half King. Half King had a war club. Now, a war club, imagine a very thick stick about that big and about that long. Tied at the end was a polished rock, so a rock they found in the middle of water, fast-moving stream. So a big rock about that big. And basically, one of the ways they would do it is, they not really hurt you, just bonk them. Bonk an enemy. And if you do that, you've shown your courage. Well, but you can also, if you hit someplace at other spots, it could really hurt. Half King is watching this. So you're going to be Jumonville.
Okay.
So don't look. This will surprise you. If you thought you were scared when I threw the frisbee at you, yes.
What's happening?
Half King's head of one of the. There are a few Indian allies. So he was a Pequot, so he's one of the kind of warrior chief of one of the Indian allies. The British call him Half King. I don't know what it's real. Well, he took this club. So imagine he took the club. They're screaming at each other. And he walked up, and while Jumonville was in the middle of a word, he went, bang! Right there on the top of his head. His head exploded. Blood went all over Washington. All over him. Washington's like covered. He's blinded by the blood. That's how much blood came out. Jumonville collapses over, still kind of moving, but dying very quickly.
Is he an ally of the French?
He's the French lieutenant. Half King is an ally with the British.
Oh, okay.
So Jumonville's on the ground. Half King then puts his foot on the still twitching body, rips apart the skull, pulls out the brain, and washes himself with it. Needless to say, pandemonium. Fugitives are running all over. In that process of that little occasion, a couple of the Frenchmen were able to escape and go to Duquesne and tell, there's a bunch of murderous, insane British men out there. Man, just chaos. And so, Washington is in real trouble. He knows it. He tries to run, he'll be caught on the trail. So he does the only thing he can think of. Nearby in the little valley, he builds a fort. You know you're in trouble when you call your fort necessity. That means bad things coming. They built it at the bottom of a hill, kind of a swampy area. Now, they built it at the bottom of the hill because it was easier to build. You just throw the logs down when they cut the trees. But then the French can get above them. And they didn't build it over a water supply. That won't be an issue. When the French and the Hurons surrounded them, they were doomed. There would be a fight. Yeah, some men were killed. Washington realizes we're running out of ammunition. If I fight to the finish, I'll probably never be that English officer. But if they surrender, he's humiliated. He finally does surrender. Now the French, well, things were different. You couldn't get on the phone and ask direction. So commanders at Duquesne and other places had a lot of latitude. But all the French knew, all of them in the New World, all of their officers in the French army and royal officials, were looking for an excuse to make some kind of fight against the British just to hold our land, a preemptive strike. They know they want war. So what they do is, Washington is given a document, and on it they write down a bunch of stuff. And in it, it says, Washington, a couple things, and then it goes on and say that Washington was on a mission to attack a peaceful French village. Washington captured a diplomatic party that was on a mission of peace, and then he executed a diplomat on a peace mission on the order of the King of England. Now, none of that's true. But Washington gets his documents, what does he do? Okay.
Good idea.
And signs it. Because what's the problem? It's in French. He has no idea what he's signing, but doesn't want to admit, which is a problem he's going to have his whole life. He doesn't want to admit he had no idea what he was doing, and so he signed that away, and that would be an excuse for the French and Indian War. That's how it started, at necessity. Washington would go back and be humiliated, and that's where you get the French and Indian War. George Washington, that would begin a series of events that would lead to the Revolutionary War. One thing really quick. The next year, 1755, the British would come back. They would send a very experienced general, Braddock, who had fought in the previous War of Austrian Succession, but experienced with 1,000 British soldiers. Washington got a second chance to lead the militia, and they marched on the road that Washington made. They marched overland to take Fort Pitt. Now, Washington told Braddock, you can't fight like you did in Europe. You can't do this. Because in the forest, the French and their allies will attack the way they fight in the Americas. How do they fight? How do they fight? Yeah, now the term guerrilla warfare was not used yet, but that's exactly what they did. Camouflage, they would not dress in nice bright uniforms. They'd have muted colors or naked. And they would hit and run. They would do unsporting things like hide behind trees and fire. Things like that. How did they fight in Europe? Basically, now this is very simplified, but to be honest with you, this is basically it. One line, usually two thick, about 50 yards apart, they would march to the other line. They'll stand and shoot. Basically shooting each other's faces until one side runs away. I'm only slightly exaggerating it. And one side begins to run away, they would turn their musket into a pike by fixing a what? They would add a bayonet to it, and they would charge. That's what Braddock said. And he looked at Washington and said, you dumb colonials. What do you know? You guys don't know how to fight. That would be his doom. The British would think the same thing when they fought the Continental Army in the Revolutionary War. You bunch of dumb continentals. Well, needless to say, you can't have your nice lines in the forests of western Pennsylvania. In fact, they're on a little trail where they can only be 2 abreast. Think about nearly 2,000 men in supplies, 2 abreast, so marching 2 men together. How long is that line going to be snaking through the forest? It's over 5 miles. And with the supplies. And they're on, most of them are in nice bright red or green uniforms. Most are in red. What happened right before they got to Fort Duquesne? The Huron and the French came sweeping out of the woods, screaming. They fire a couple shots, come out with their hatchets, take a couple hacks, then run back into the forest. And they did that all along for miles. This would devolve into what is known as the Battle of the Mahanga. Mahanga. There. I had to go through it in my head again. Mahanga. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. That's an awesome word. It is an awesome word. There's also something else. Someday down the road, you might have children, right? Who knows? 1, 2, maybe 3 children. You're always looking for names, aren't you? People always want to find a good name. Have you thought about Mahanga? Huh?
What's the Mahanga?
See, that's the best part. It actually is the name, kind of the bastardized version of a tribe, but you can say anything you want, can't you? So come here, little Mahanga, you know? And they would never get picked on in junior high with a name like that. See, as the year goes on, I'm going to give you even better names for children. So write these down. These are really important. These will be crucial. I know, Jumonville New, not New. New? No. Mahanga. Okay, so Braddock would be mortally wounded in this fight. Washington would actually lead a lead guard and save much of Braddock's army, but he never got the credit. No one gets credit for a losing battle. And why this is important for our history is Washington, he never got the credit he thought he deserved. You get what I'm getting at? He felt slighted. They did not respect my ability. He never became an officer in the British advantage, and this would British Army, and this would grow. It would fester inside of him. He never forgot as he saw that slight. And there's nothing that is more corrosive to a relationship, to people, whatever, than when one party feels slighted. Try to avoid that. I know it's hard, but he had a big resentment against the British. That's one of the reasons he became a leading patriot. Yeah, Washington. Okay. Now he would marry a widow who happened to be the richest, had the richest plantation in all of Virginia, and he would become the richest man in the colonies in the new United States. So don't worry, he made it okay, and he was a heck of a dancer. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have marry someone rich, yeah. Both my wife and I have talked about this. She thought my last name was Partridge. I would get all that big Partridge money. You know, there was a TV show, there was a song. I get nothing. Nothing. They're both. No one's ever seen the Partridge Family? Oh, God, it's awful. It's from the early 70s. I know now you're probably going to look it up and say, oh my God, it's so bad. All right, so with that, for first couple years, the French did great, but then it turns into the 7 Years' War. And 1756, it began in Europe. And what happened is, once it began in Europe, France now is fighting a series of campaigns in what's going to become Germany against Prussia, which will be their king would eventually become the Emperor of Germany in 100 years. But the point is, France is now occupied here. Has everyone got that? France is occupied. Now Britain can step by step pick off their colonies. They did it in India, they did it against the French ally, the Dutch in South Africa, and in Canada. The French would eventually have to evacuate Fort Duquesne in 1758. They had to leave it. So after 4 years and winning 2 big victories, they had to give it up. They tried to blow it up with gunpowder, didn't work very well. And it would be named after the Prime Minister of Great Britain, who became, actually the first person we really call Prime Minister, who organized the British war effort, William Pitt. And Pitt is important for a couple reasons, especially in British history. His statue is right next to Cromwell. But Pitt organized the finances to pay for the war to beat the French. How do you do it? By borrowing tons of money. Well, this come back to be an issue after the war. And Duquesne fell, the British built a fort there and named it after him. Soon, a town came around it, and what's the town? Cleveland, of course. So Cleveland, yes, I say Pittsburgh, yes. And somebody was wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey earlier today. Just shake your head. Oh, good for you. So, Pitt. And with this, now the French are trying to hold out to a treaty. And the key to everything came. They're still fighting all along the frontier. But the key became Quebec. Quebec is the capital of New France. If the French can hold Quebec, they can still hold their colony, New France. So, the British had to take it. Now, before class, I spent my lunch period. I didn't eat. I haven't eaten in 4 days because I was drawing this map. And then I put it on an overhead. And do you know how hard it is to draw on one of these? But I did it for you. This is what we call technology. Actually, I like this so I can draw on it. So,
This is really a
Fuzzy.
if only we had the modern technology to solve this. I'm going to blow your mind. Ready? Watch. No, okay. Amazing! Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. That's amazing cartography skills. You're correct. Amazing. What's the hardest part when you draw a map like that freehand? Writing words like Quebec exactly square. Freehand. That was hard. So when you see when I write on your papers and it's hard to understand, it's because I spend all my time writing moored boats. All right, so this is the St. Lawrence River. And what the British did in remarkable feat of seamanship, they sailed up the St. Lawrence with 100 ships carrying 5,000 soldiers. Think about sailing ocean-going vessels up a river. Sails. Sometimes they had to get men out in rowboats and kind of pull them with the rowboats. It took forever. 3 months. Did I say robots? And why did they use the robots for other purposes? But no, only to row. So, the current goes this way, the British are sailing this way. Well, when they got there, here, Quebec is on high cliffs, it's fortified, 50 feet high, some areas 70 to 100 feet high, all the way along here, beautiful city. Here, it's swamp, so it's almost impossible. And at the end of August, winter is coming. You don't want to be caught in the winter in Canada. And this was at the time of the mini ice age. It was a little bit cooler, and especially in the winter at certain high elevations. And so this was a very bad time to be caught out there. And so the British didn't know what to do. They landed, they went past Quebec, lost a couple ships doing it, and they landed south of it. Their commander was a general by the name of Wolfe. Now Wolfe, young man, only 36, is considered to be one of the greatest generals in British military history. And, well, this is his shining moment. They land there, but they still got 50-foot cliffs, straight up. How do you get up cliffs? Fly. Yeah. What's that what you said?
No.
Fly?
No, I said
They're
fly.
aliens? Jetpacks. I don't climb. But do that with supplies? Pretty hard to do. Catapults, I guess you can catapult guys out there.
Ropes.
Trampoline. But strange thing was happening. French women who lived in a little village right here were somehow getting down the cliff, going to the water and washing clothes and getting water and then getting back up. And the British would go there where they went up and down the cliff and they couldn't see it. It just still looked like a sheer cliff. But one morning, now we're going in September, a group of French women looked like they were floating down the cliff in the fog. Fog in the early morning. Yeah, they were aliens. Well, they hit the sentries on the picket. He waited for them to go up and walked right over there, almost walked over it. Couldn't see it unless you're literally standing on it. It was a mountain goat trail. There were mountain goats all over. And then, trust me, they killed them all. But it was about a foot to a foot and a half wide and switchbacked its way up the cliff. Wolf ordered 5,000 men up that. How was it? In the middle of the night. I always think about that. Just by a couple torches, that's the only light they had. So imagine you're at the cliff and guys kind of going like this, carrying 60-pound packs up that cliff.
Wait, how many?
5,000 men.
I thought you only had 1,000.
No, Braddock only had 1,000. Wolf had 5,000. Woof. How about the horses in Canton? How'd they get up? Rope. It was like a carnival ride for the horses. Okay, so when they got there, the French were shocked. On this flat, nice plains, they're going to fight a European-style battle. Here it is. 5,000 British soldiers were in their nice line, and the French are in real trouble. Foolishly, the French came out of their fort, and they lined up too. Now, they had about 5,000 men too, but they had about half their men were militia. And they put their militia there. And that's where Wolf attacked, the militia. Now, militia, they actually don't like to be stabbed with bayonets. Isn't that kind of weird? Normally, no, actually, what do rational people do if someone's charging at you with a 15-foot-long pipe? Ready to, yeah, goodbye. Okay, did I tell you about lobsterbacks yesterday? I didn't tell you about lobsterbacks? Well, you never know. That was a major insult to British soldiers. They called them lobsterbacks. Did you salute me? You saluted me, or were you yelling at someone in the hallway? Did someone lurking outside my hallway? I look over, this is exactly what Selena did. Like, carry on. Well, they call them lobsterbacks. Why do they call them lobsterbacks? But lobsters aren't red unless you cook them. What do lobsters' backs look like? Yeah, I know what you're saying, like ridges. Discipline was so fierce in the British Army that for the most minor offense, the cat of nine tails would come out. What's cat of nine tails? And so what would their back be like?
Oh.
Like a lobster's back. And it was a major insult. But why did they whip them so much? So they'll stand there and they'll take someone firing a musket ball at their face 50 yards away. They'd rather do that than get whipped. Now I gotta finish this tomorrow. We didn't finish. Whose fault is that? I think it's Selena for her little. Carry on, good buddy. I know, I just happened to look when you did that.
Yeah, I know, it's all over you.
Now, was there someone in the hall?
No,
Oh, it's an inside joke, okay.
Someone says like a major something like major.
Oh, I get it, major.
Yeah.
And that's a bad habit, because people say major a lot. Very good, yeah. Busted.
I was looking at summer school and my grade for the summer test was a 40 out of 50 and on the paper it said 46 out of 50.
I had to take 6 points off because I was really mad at you. You know what I bet it happened? I put on thinking that my 6. So I will put a note right now and change it.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was a major mistake. Yes. Did you get the assignment?
From yesterday?
No, today.
No.
That's a major thing.
Okay.
194-205 in America.
Okay.
And then in the appendix, or the back of the book, read the Declaration of Independence, especially the first 4 paragraphs. It's actually really short. So make sure you read that and think about, when you're reading it, you got to think about why they were making, or who was making, why they were making the first 4 paragraphs. Where are you going? 5 minutes ago.
I'm going to be here. When you're going to just have to get at school.
Now wait a minute.
Yeah.
Do something about this.
And we're going to make
You're going to be gone too.
Yeah.
Oh, tomorrow? No, actually, these are both for Thursday. So that's what's good. That's kind of one of the reasons why I give them all.
And also, I don't know.
Okay. And then Friday, I gotta make
There's like a
copies of
lot of
chapter
people
5.
that are like,
So I've got my textbooks. But I'm gonna sign part of chapter 5.
only like.
Kind of waiting to see. If I can sound good? And you give me on Friday too?
I read it, but I don't remember.
You make, how are you thinking about learning football? Yeah, I know, you guys
I
are
get
the
called
bozo, right?
to interview last.
Yes.
My
Why?
grandpa's brother.
Okay, so I'm gonna do like the, I talked about the war.
Like in the war.
So just film
And then
a
my
couple
grandpa
guys who got
was
from the
worked
videos and
during
then
the war,
hopefully set up.
but he was
computers.
here and he did like
Just make sure.
technology.
The Declaration.
I interviewed someone
Who in here would like a quiz?
Oh, sure.
Not me.
Try it again. Who in here would like a quiz? Friend! Okay, only Brent gets a quiz.
Yay.
Everyone else gets an essay.
Test my knowledge.
They get what's called a BBQ. Have you heard of those?
Lucky you.
I already have students in this year's AP US History class. Like, what are these BBQs? They're not that bad.
Why am I even
I like
taking any AP tests?
What?
Like, we're already gonna do it. Except for
I don't know who did well, but people did very well on the BBQ.
Would you?
The short answer question caused people some